Welcome to Sacred Stream Radio with Isa Gucciardi. Today, Isa discusses shamanism and its intersection with modern culture. This excerpt was taken from a 2007 Depth Hypnosis class.
The needs of the Western culture are really different than the needs of an indigenous culture in terms of what people's personal needs are and personal evolutionary needs are. And I think that in indigenous cultures, most indigenous cultures had pretty well-defined role systems. You're born into a particular lineage and you perform particular duties as a part of that lineage. And some cultures have more tolerance for deviance than others. Deviance meaning stepping outside of a particularly prescribed role. And I think that today in the modern Western world, there's this huge breakdown of everything, especially in terms of social roles, in terms of what historical patterns that are not respected necessarily. And I think that actually that breakdown is a two-edged sword. I think it's got its real ups and it's got its real downs. But one of the things that it does is it really breaks people out of it. It frees people from prescribed roles, and it allows a person to evolve in response to their own internal calling, rather than necessarily having to evolve according to the role or what is prescribed by the external culture. And for that reason, you have a lot more people able to self-select, quote, self-select. And, it is a good idea to ask, what is that? I actually think it gives people an opportunity to really listen to their inner voices, to their inner longings, to their inner yearnings, and to be able to create a life based on that. And, that's a scary proposition. It takes a lot of responsibility and a lot of paying attention and a lot of courage and self-determination that's not required when you're working within a cultural system where things are prescribed, where you know that you're going to marry someone from that clan, you know that you're going to weave baskets for your whole life, you know that you may die in a particular way. Once you reach a certain age, you'll be taken out to a particular field and left. Like this whole very predictable kind of structure that is requiring you to offer your own life energy to keep supporting it, and you do it almost unthinkingly. And I think that most indigenous cultures are quite like that. And I think that modern Western culture is not like that, although there are certainly plenty of structures within modern Western culture where people can do that. You look at corporate structures, people don't have to think too much. They can follow a prescribed path. They don't necessarily have to listen to their inner voice in order to follow that. Certainly in Europe, there is more of a family lineage where people tend to be able to do the kind of work they do, not necessarily because they're part of a lineage, but it's because of who they know, not what they know. The most amazing thing about America that I think is you can do anything. You really can. If you can listen to your inner voice, and if you can hear it and have the courage to follow it. Of course, there are some obstacles, but compared to traditional cultures, there are very few obstacles that are going to say, no, you were born into the untouchables. There's no way that you're ever going to be able to carry a sword and defend the king. But that doesn't happen here. That's radical when you think about the way most cultures are. I mean, even in France, if you're born into a working class family, you take the tests at age 12 that determine whether or not you go to college or to trade school. And your life is determined from there. And most blue-collar families, the kids go take the tests for trade schools. And at age 12, their lives are determined, and they rarely step out of that. It may be changing today, but it's not changing much. So this idea of being able to listen to the inner voice and to be able to have the courage to choose a path like being a depth hypnosis practitioner or being, which is kind of like a modern day shaman, is really just like this unique opportunity, this moment in time where people can do that. And really the only thing that determines whether or not you can follow that path is your courage. That's it. It's like if you're willing to keep turning yourself inside out and willing to keep facing down the obstacles that have kept you tied in fear, and willing to face down cultural norms that would tell you that you're not allowed to do a particular thing, and constantly bring yourself into a state of integrity, again and again, always checking in. Are you doing no harm? Where is your intention? Is it for the benefit of the greatest amount of people? Using that as a guideline or a guiding light, and having that be that which yokes you to your path, rather than a set of prescribed, externally generated commandments that have very little to do with your psyche or your needs or your wants. I actually do feel like anyone can do this work.
Thanks for listening to Sacred Stream Radio. For more information on our training programs, you can visit us on the web at sacredstream.org. The foundation of the Sacred Stream is a non-profit organization offering educational opportunities for personal and professional growth.